Hello guys, this video is for all those who are appearing or who are planning to appear in the IELTS exam. IELTS General Training is basically the English proficiency exam, and this video will cover the introduction of what is an IELTS exam and basically some listening tips. So, IELTS is an international English language testing system which is jointly owned by IDP and British Council. So, if you are planning to appear in the IELTS exam, you can book your exam through IDP or British Council. Basically, the general training exam is to immigrate to an English speaking country and to prove your English proficiency. So, let's begin with the little bit introduction of the IELTS exam. So here are the four parts that are included in the IELTS exam. So basically you will be testing upon your listening skills, which is divided into four sections, and it will take 30 minutes. The second part is the reading exam, which comprises of three sections, and you'll be assigned 60 minutes for this. Then is your writing exam, which is divided into two parts, and you'll be allotted 60 minutes. The last part is the speaking part, which is divided into three parts, and it comprises of 11 to 14 minutes, but it can also drag up to 20 minutes. And your speaking exam might be on the same day, or it can be taken on some other day before your writing exam, which comprises of listening, reading, and writing. So this is his introduction, and now we'll come towards the listening exam, and I'm going to give you some tips and description about the listening exam. And this is my story, and I achieved 8.5 bands in listening. So here are some tips and some description about the listening exam which I have encountered, and through these tips I have achieved 8.5 bands, and I try to transcend this information towards other people, and they can be benefited with this information. So let's begin with the listening exam. Listening exam consists of four parts. Part 1 comprises of 10 marks, and it is the easiest part of the whole listening exam. You will be given a conversation between two people. In this exam, two people will be talking to each other. It can be a phone call to inquire some details about a railway inquiry or about a vacant position where you want to apply as an employee. Part 2 is of medium difficulty, and it also consists of 10 marks, and there will be a monologue between everyday situation about everyday situation. So there can be description about some park or some place where you will be given a little bit description about some place or something. Then we'll come towards the part 3. Part 3 is the hard part of the IELTS listening exam. It also comprises of 10 marks, and it will be a dialogue between 2 to 4 people. For example, there will be two students discussing about their presentation, upcoming presentation with their instructor, and it basically comprises of MCQs, and the question types in part 3 are a bit difficult type of question types, and we'll discuss further in this video about the listening question types as well. So now the part 4 is also hard type of part in this listening exam. It comprises of 10 marks, and it will be a monologue on an academic topic. For example, you will be given information about forest, about knitting maybe. So it can be any topic, and it will be a monologue means only a single person is going to give you description of any place or any academic phenomena. For example, you can be given on paints, on anything which is related to academic. That is not a general discussion. It will be a topic that is related to academic. So altogether there will be 40 marks, and you will be allotted 40 marks on your performance on each of your part of the listening exam. So this is how you'll be allotted your marks. If you get 39 to 40 correct answer, you'll get 9 bands. If you get 37 to 38, you will get 8.5 bands. If you get 35 to 36 correct answer, you'll get 8 bands, and so on and so forth. So basically, people who are appearing for general training exam usually need at least 8 bands in their listening exam. So let's come towards the question types which will be given in the listening exam. It can be sentence completion, where you just need to write a single word, or maybe 2 words, or maybe 3 words. And then there will be multiple choice, where you have to select one option, or maybe you have to select two options, two correct options. It can be matching information, it can be maps, it can be diagrams, plans, labeling, flowcharts, form completion, notes, or tables. So let me give a little description about these question types. So sentence completion is considered the easiest type of exam, where you need to only complete the sentence while listening to the audio. And multiple choice, for me, multiple choice was the most difficult kind of questions, where you have to select the right option. And when it comes to two correct option, it becomes more difficult, because you have to figure out the right option, which might be two correct options, and you have to listen to the audio very carefully to figure out the right option. And matching information can be difficult at times, because you will be given, maybe you will be given different kind of books, and there can be descriptions which you have to listen to the audio, and you have to figure out that what kind of description relates to which book. Or you can be given steps of a certain process, and you have to figure out the difficulty of each step while listening to the audio. Whatever is said in the audio, you have to match it accordingly. And then you can be given maps are also the most recurring type of questions in IELTS exam previously. So a map can be, you should know which is south, which is north, which is east, which is west, to figure out the map exam. Because you might be instructed to go northwest from a certain place, southwest from a certain place. So this is how it works. You can also be given flowcharts, where you have to, flowcharts are basically the sentence completion, where you have to complete a certain sentence, but it will be in order. For example, the first thing you will be mentioned that this is the first thing, and then you will be given an arrow towards the second step of that flowchart. So this is how it works. But the most important thing in all type of question types in the listening exam is it follows order. Whenever you're going to solve your exam, the first number one, for example, number one blank, or one number one MCQ, the answer will be the first one. Okay, for example, if you are given an MCQ, so there are maybe 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 MCQs together. So you'll get the answer of the 11th MCQ first, and then the 12th MCQ, then the 13th, but the options of the MCQ are intermingled. So you have to figure out the right option. It will not be in order. So sentence completion, as I mentioned, is considered the easiest, but multiple choice and matching information and maps and labeling, these can be difficult at times. So let's come towards the tips for the listening exam, which are very important, which I have myself encountered and figured out that these tips help me a lot to score 8.5 bands in my listening exam. So this is the first thing, which is read the question carefully. You have to read the question very carefully whenever you are listening, when you are appearing in a listening IELTS exam. Because there can be certain traps. For example, you might be asked about something, about the immediate effects of something, and in the audio you might listen the effects which you will encounter in the long run. So you might read only the effects, and you might write the long term effects, which will be wrong, and you'll lose your bands. So second tip is to listen to audio with full concentration. Once you have read the question and the audio has started, you have to listen to the audio very carefully, because with full concentration, because you might get lost whenever you are listening. When you're trying to figure out what is the right answer, you might get lost in the audio. So don't do this. Listen with the full concentration and don't divert your attention anywhere else while listening. This is the most important thing. So the third thing is, try to figure out the traps while listening. So whenever you are going to solve a listening exam, you should know that the audio will be full of traps. For example, they might start talking with like, let's plan it on Wednesday, and you might take the Wednesday is the right answer, and then they started talking and they say that no, not on Wednesday, let's plan it on Thursday, and then you take Thursday the right answer, and then they start talking, no, 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 Wednesday would be better, I remember I'm been occupied on Thursday and I can't appear on Thursday. So this is how you need to figure out the traps while listening. These are the actual traps, and this is the test where your listening is tested while you are listening with full concentration or not. Another tip is, cross the wrong options in case of MCQs. So wherever you are solving MCQs and while listening to the audio, if you find it difficult that you are not able to recognize which is the right answer, then while listening you can cross out which are the wrong option. So you might be asked about the place that where it is situated, and in the options you might be given options, it is not really, it is near some place, and you listen to the audio and they said that it is not near to that place, so you cross that option so that it will be easier for you to figure out which is the right answer by crossing the wrong answers. Another tip is, use the time given in the end of each section to read the questions of next section. I would say that this tip really helped me to achieve my desired band score. I would say more than my desired band score. I targeted 8 bands in listening and I got 8.5. So this was the most pertinent tip. This is the most substantial tip that helped me to gain my bands. So basically, as I have mentioned before, that listening exam is divided into 4 parts. At the end of each section, for example, your part 1 is completed, you will be given 1 minute to check your answers. Okay, so in that time, you don't need to check your answers because you're not going to listen to the recording again. So in that 1 minute, start reading the questions of part 2. It will save the time, and usually part 2 has MCQs. So it will be easier for you to go through the questions more comprehensively to gain the basic things which are mentioned in the um, MCQs, so that you can listen and you can figure it out more clearly. So don't waste that 1 minute which will be given at the end of each section at part 1. For example, part 1 ended, utilize that 1 minute in reading the questions of part 2. Part 2 ended, utilize that 1 minute in reading the questions of part 3. Similarly, same goes for part 4 as well. Now, pay attention to the audio because the recording might use all the options. For example, you're solving a question, and what happens is that they might ask you a year of something. For example, the actual renovation work started in the year dash, and now you are given 3 options: 2013, 2014, or 2015. So they might start that the planning of the renovation started in 2013 and it was planned to be done in 2014, but unfortunately due to some hindrances or some obstacles, it actually started in 2015. So the audio used all the 3 years, but you might listen to 1 year and say, "Oh, this is the answer and I'm gonna take this answer." No, you have to listen to the whole recording carefully so that you might get the right option. So if you are practicing through your Cambridge books, I would say that they are very good source of information, very good source of practice. And most frequently, the most recurring type of question in part one is a sentence completion. It is not mandatory that you will get the same question again and again, over and over again, but the recurring type of questions, which is evident through the Cambridge books as well, is a sentence completion for part one, MCQs, maps, flowcharts, and match the following for part two and part three, and again sentence completion for part four, which is a bit more tricky. So practice these question types more frequently because they are the most recurring type of question types. But don't keep in mind or don't rely on all these. You have to practice all of it, but give more time to these type of question types. So these are the basic tips which you can use to ace your listening exam. So this is all for today's video, and I'll come up with more videos as well for all the other three parts and for listening as well, where we'll be solving the listening exam and giving you more tips while solving so that you can comprehend it more easily. So my other videos will be related to reading, writing, and speaking as well. So this is for today, and I have also um, shared a link of Cambridge books 1 to 15 in my description of this video. So go check it out, practice, and stay tuned for another video.